What the fuck? I'm so scared for next week's episode. Holy shit, everyone is about to fucking die, and I know the first person it's gonna be me, because I can't handle it. Bye.
I would just like AMC to know they're paying for my therapy bills and my alcohol bills, because I'm gonna need some after this episode. Anyway, that was a really good episode. Okay, just wanted to get that out of my system. Okay, thanks, bye.
Man, I am like giddy from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head. I can't even contain myself. That was such a great episode. Thank you so much, Angela K. Okay, who's with me in saying that episode was better than The Long Night? I'm just saying.
Welcome back to another episode of Talk Dead to Me, the only Walking Dead podcast with the guts to start at season 10. I am your host, Johnny Odell. I'm the social media manager for The Walking Dead. And with me, as always, is Woody Tondorf. He is our Skybound games producer and voiceover artiste that you hear on most of our videos.
As always, a constant collaborator with my good friend, Johnny Odell.
Hello.
We're missing Alexandra today.
We are.
She is, and I want to preface by saying everything's fine. Alexandra's in the hospital. Long story short, don't bare knuckle box kangaroos.
You know, I'm surprised you even revealed the source of this, but
she made it 3 rounds though.
Yes, and those illegal rings that they have in New Zealand are very dangerous. So if you're going to get into that, make sure you are careful.
No, but for real though, she's on the mend. But if you have the gumption, go ahead and send her some well wishes on the social media. I'm sure she will see it and appreciate it. She's fine. She's on the up and up. But she's not here with us this week, and we are the poorer for it. So I guess we're just gonna have to soldier on.
I don't know how, but we'll try it anyway. All right, we have a quick correction. We saw your YouTube comments from last week. Okay.
Every single comment. Oh my God.
Okay. It was not Dante's grave that Beta crawled out of. It was Cheryl's. Obviously, they wouldn't make a grave for Dante.
Because he was burned.
And
also
he was
poisoned,
a traitor.
Yeah, in spite of the camp.
I listened back to our episode last week, and I was like, guys, are we sure this was Dante's grave? Because in the episode, Aaron and them were saying, like, oh, that's Dante's grave. But they meant that's the grave that Dante dug for Cheryl.
No, stop. Okay, and here's the thing. I appreciated the comments on the YouTube channel. I answered most of them because, I railroaded us into in hindsight, the critical thinking skills were very lacking with me on that, being like, of course, like, why would they bury Dante? He's in fucking ashes. But when you go and reference any grave, anywhere, you talk about the person who's in it. You don't talk about the artist who made it.
You don't say, that's Grandpa's grave.
Yeah.
Or you say, that's Grandpa's grave. Yeah. That's not,
That's not Steven's headstone work that he does because I'm a huge fan or whatever.
Yeah. And who isn't? So, okay. Sometimes we don't always get it right, but, we are man and woman enough when she's here to correct ourselves.
Yeah,
so
we were wrong. Our bad. And you are all much smarter and much better Walking Dead fans than we are, which I don't think any of us are really going to try to defend that.
It's fine.
Shall we have the rest of the episode?
Yeah. All right. So this week's episode, like I said last week, was very exciting. Even though there were a lot of one-on-one conversations, we had plenty of action at the end, and it's really building up to what's going to be an amazing, I almost want to say Game of Thrones type battle that we're going to see next week.
Yeah, getting really heavy final season Battle of Winterfell vibes here.
Yes.
But I actually, with the opposite version that I could see everything during the nighttime scenes in Walking Dead.
Well, it was very nice of them to light their arrows on fire.
We'll get to this. We're jumping ahead of it, but I was hoping that that the fire priestess, whatever her name is, would have come up and be Melisandre, that's it. Being like, raise your swords. And then all of a sudden they're just like, all of their, Jerry's sword is engulfed in fire. I would have burst into pure light. You would be having this conversation with just energy.
And side note, if you want to write this Game of Thrones Walking Dead mashup fan fiction, we are all here for it.
Oh, it's got to be out there already.
Oh, I'm sure it is. All right, so in this week's episode, we are going to be doing our new favorite segment, Winners and Losers. We're going to be playing some Dunked On, do a little bit of Ship Watch, listen to your voicemails, and a little bit later, we're going to be talking to Eleanor Matsuura, who plays Yumiko on The Walking Dead.
It's going to be a huge episode, and since you're listening to us already, please go ahead and please rate us 5 stars or like us, what have you. We're on YouTube. We're on all the major places where you get your podcasts. This is the part where Alexandra goes on for 10 seconds, listing at least one fake podcast site. And now that I've gone on for 15 seconds and done a worse job of the bit, go ahead and just tell us we're doing a good job.
Yeah, and
Let's
then
spread the word.
Let's jump right into our winners and losers of this episode. There were actually a lot of them. My winner this episode is Heart to Hearts. There were 8 of them that I counted, at least. We had Eugene and Stephanie, Eugene and Rosita, Ezekiel and Carol, Ezekiel and Daryl, Carol and Daryl, Daryl and Judith, Yumiko and Kelly, Carol and Lydia. 8 Heart to Hearts. Yeah, I mean, this basically... 8, I know. Which seems like a lot and seems like maybe a little too exposition-y or fillery, but it wasn't. I mean, these characters all had something to say to the other, and, you know, with how these battles are going and how powerful Alpha is, you know, things could go to shit pretty quickly and they could all die.
It is a testament that, like, not everybody in Hilltop immediately gets to this, like, giant, like, Matrix cave orgy. Yeah, some people are exchanging lots of words. Some people, like Carol and Ezekiel, are exchanging maybe, like, a baker's dozen and then just, like, getting down to the business.
Yeah,
but
exchanging fluids.
Exactly.
You know, Eugene and Stephanie getting to know each other over the radio. Eugene and Rosita. You know what? Eugene finally got that old Rosita off his back, and she was like, "Hey, you want to kiss me?" And he's like, "Not really."
I was really curious about how all that scene was coming together because, like, it was an odd, like, it felt like high schoolish.
Oh yeah, it was like the popular girl like daring the nerd. She's like, "I know you like love me. Why don't you just do it?"
Like, I heard that you, like, met this girl over spring break or, like, summer break or something from camp, and, like, you like her more. Well, what if I gave you the opportunity to kiss me? And, like, if, like, Eugene gives in that moment because, like, oh my God, for years he's pined after Rosita, if he goes for the smooch and then she's kind of like, well, I guess you don't like her that much, like, fuck you, Rosita.
Yes.
I don't know. Toying with poor Eugene once he's finally found, like, somebody to love. I don't know. The Eugene scenes with Stephanie, like, really got me. For some reason, I was, like, oddly emotional.
Yeah, well, when she went back and actually, you know, saying that lyric back to him after he thought he had lost her forever, that was really sweet. That was an Iron Maiden song, by the way.
Fantastic. And has Eugene sang before in the show?
I don't think so. Maybe accidentally.
Because it turns out dude's got a great voice.
Woody, who is your winner this week?
My winner is Ezekiel.
Oh.
I gotta...
Go on.
Yeah, I mean, look, the dude goes for it hard. He reveals his truth. He lets Carol know what's going on, and they have a nice moment. He dunks on Daryl, which we'll get to later. He has good heroic moments, and he gets hella laid, kid.
Oh my God, like a cartoon where he's just completely laid out afterwards. She's like pretty much fully dressed. He's still just in like what is it called?
Post-coital?
Yeah, he's in post-coital. He is like literally spread eagle on the bed. Like he didn't even have to do anything or have any effort during it.
He looks like Jesus on the cross, like laid out there on the bed. Like it was biblical stuff. And honestly, they had this really fun moment afterwards where Zeke is like, oh, that was pretty, like, we're still good at this. And Carol's like, that wasn't our problem, which leads me to believe that both Zeke and Carol are Olympic level fucks.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they'll, like,
100%.
I'm picturing them in, like, the king's quarters and people being like, king and queen, please, can you keep it down?
Keep it down.
The only reason Carol had a house so far away from the kingdom is because they were going to Pound Town and they needed that space because people were like, you are shaking the walls.
And Henry's like, guys, can you please quiet down? And it's like, you are no one's son. Neither of us.
Henry's like, I don't know. I'll go hang out with Lydia now. Also, just to go back real quick, because this is a pretty heavy Eugene episode.
Yeah.
I want to give props out to Josh McDermott. This guy, every episode, gets handed blocks of text with multisyllabic words that no normal human ever in the world will ever say. And he makes it good. Like, he actually does a pretty good job of, like, getting through that so fast and sounding so natural. Like, I do not know how he does it, but this was just a masterclass and, like, great range for Eugene in this episode. Yeah. I almost want to change my winner to Eugene.
Do it.
Okay, I'm changing it.
All right.
I'm hanging my whole hat on the Zeke as a winner just based on his, like, incredible
He got laid,
sex.
finally.
Yeah, great job.
If anyone needed to get laid, it was Ezekiel. I mean,
yes.
He's been moping around since season 9. Just get over it.
Yeah, bone it out.
Just do what the rest of us do.
Yeah, last episode, Nick in the voicemails would be like, good for you, bud. Get out there.
Oh,
good
yeah.
job.
Good callback.
But Eugene, I think, wins because he has the full range. Has a great emotional arc. He gets closure with Rosita. He takes one step forward. He is now in like a quasi-loving long-distance relationship with Stephanie, who I guess we're going to say is not a catfish. And he sings pretty well. I don't know. We get great range, and he's a good hero. And now he's out there in the front lines, ready to fight.
Yes, and this is actually one of my most look forward to storylines because the Eugene Stephanie thing is straight out of the comics, almost verbatim, except for his like colorful language, where he's like, you want to tickle my ears, and before you say that adios, it's like what? But
what does that mean?
But in the comics, Stephanie, it's like you said, is not a catfish. She's someone who lives in a big community called the Commonwealth, and we got a little bit closer to that community this week when Stephanie offered, for him to meet up with her in West Virginia at a train yard, which is exactly what happens in the comics. They meet at a train yard, and that's where they meet these like stormtrooper soldiers, and then on to Commonwealth.
And they go through processing through some like baggage car with some dude in a suit who's just sitting there.
But this is exciting. It's a sign that they're not going to like draw out the whole war throughout the whole season. This is a sign that they have other, post-Whisper storylines.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen after this because we've put in the end of this episode. If you haven't seen it, why are you listening? But like Hilltop is fucked.
Yes.
That place is on fire.
Yes. Honorable mention winner is Earl for just being alive. How is he still alive?
Earl is...
And also Luke. Luke and Earl must look at each other like, like that Paul Rudd meme from Hot Ones.
Look
where
at
he's
us.
just like, look at us. Can you believe it?
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Not me.
Not me. That is Luke and Earl being like, we should both have died 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I like that Earl is just itching to die. All he wants to do is fight these fuckers.
And also raise a little baby.
Yeah, well, if he makes it. And yeah, Luke is out there swinging his motorcycle gear weapon thing. And to his credit, Luke's not slouching. He's not hidden behind the walls. He's out there, out in front, swinging the melee weapon. So good on him. Some of these people have to die. This can't be another Winterfell thing where like all the major cast is out in like the front lines and miraculously they all survive except for one. I think Earl is dead, right? Has to be dead.
Well, I know what happens. Drink. So I can't tell you if he lives or dies. Now to our losers. My big loser this week is the one guy who caught on fire at the line when Alpha and Negan and the Whisper crew were flinging flaming arrows onto the line, which was prompted by a bunch of, I guess, flammable tree sap.
Yeah, I did right before the podcast. I did about 2 seconds of research, and I'm wondering, like, are they getting like citronella, or like it's way too liquidy and sprays too far for it to be just like pure sap.
So I rewatched the episode, and Jerry says it smells like pine trees, and then I think Aaron says it's basically gasoline or something. It's not gasoline, but basically.
But flammable like gasoline, so you understand.
The episode opens with Beta like nailing these what looked like coconuts to the tree, and just the sap was just, creeping in.
Yeah.
So
any episode that starts with Beta hatching a plan or like beginning a plan usually doesn't end well for the heroes.
Absolutely
That's
not.
2 straight episodes where he's just dunked on everybody.
Yeah, but R.I.P. Nameless man at the front lines. There's always a frontline man who dies, if not more, and this guy really did. I mean, he was the one that warned the others, hey, this shit is flammable. So thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah. Thank you for the visual aid for those who didn't get it immediately. Like, what did he say? Oh, no, I think that guy's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to show that these people aren't to be messed with and like that this tactic will work. So like somebody had to die. They're not ready to like Earl's not going to buy an arrow straight through the eye, I guess, but you got to show that it's lethal, and now they're all cut off, and I do not know how this is going to work out for them.
Speaking of not working out, who's your loser?
Oh, boy. My loser is Negan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How?
Well, you would think, like, Negan's going through it, like, Negan is now trapped in this relationship with Alpha when we see him after boning with his socks on. Also, by the way,
standing up.
Is The Walking Dead getting sexier? A lot more people are getting it in. I don't know if I'm just like noticing it now or like have people.
There's a lot of sex in the comics and not so much here. We saw Rashomon. That's it. Other things. Yeah.
No, but I think we've had like the last like 2 out of 3 episodes. Like we're going to sexy time, which like I'm here for. I like romance in The Walking Dead. I may be alone in that, but I think it's fun. Yeah. So anyways, now they're in this weird relationship and they do this whole like weird ritual where like Negan has has to like harm Alpha with the switch.
Yep.
And he's like, you look pretty tough to me. I don't think we should keep doing this. And then she's like, now it's your turn. And he's like, oh God, like
this relationship is the worst.
oh, I put it in some crazy pussy, and now I'm reaping the whirlwind. And meanwhile, Nick from last week is like, it might work out. Go find out what you like.
Yeah.
Negan's whole thing, you can tell he's trying to have her pump the brakes on wholesale slaughter.
Yeah.
He asks her like, hey, have them surrender. He makes a bend the knee reference, which like,
you know, we don't always want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but it's hard.
sometimes they put it right in your face. And it was kind of like, yeah, it makes sense, but like, it feels like that line was kind of built from like bend the knee being in like pop culture, but also in the world of The Walking Dead, the Game of Thrones wouldn't have gotten to that point yet. And Negan doesn't strike me as the biggest reader.
And also the fact that Alpha is like, I am your Khaleesi, and then she like rides into the night on a dragon.
Holding a Starbucks cup.
Holding a Starbucks cup. I thought that was like a pretty obvious reference. But
A little on the nose.
But yeah, so you're saying Negan is trying to pump the brakes on Alpha.
And she's not having it, or
Right.
at least he thinks that it's going to work out. And then once the plan gets hatched and she starts being like, oh yeah, we're going to murder all these people. He's like, hey, I thought that you said that they would surrender. We could get them to surrender and they would join you. And Samantha Morton again just kills it every single line she gets. But she has that whole chilling thing. You do a better Alpha than I do.
Okay. She's like, they are, but part of my horde.
And then Negan has both a, like, you can see the acting in that moment of him being like, oh, fuck, this didn't work out, but I still had to see this is cool. And he goes, you are badass.
So what are you thinking about Negan right now? Does he have an ulterior motive?
Yeah, Negan is waiting for the moment now to take over. Or
He wants to take over the Whisperers, you think?
Yes,
Okay.
or at least like end this conflict, because I do think now, like after 7 years in captivity and seeing how the system works and being amongst these like literal figurative animals, he knows that like he doesn't want to be a part of that group. I cannot see them moving forward with like Negan as the head of the Whisperers and like believing in that. Negan is never going to do that like, we bleed the world dry, we are free. We say a Whisperer creed, we are free. Also, there's a whole moment in the Horde, I want to talk about this, where they start doing essentially like the group chant of the Whisperer creed, and I'm thinking to myself like, you're making a lot of attention here. You're raising up in volume. Like the Whisperers are starting to actually like speak now, and like were they hoping that the other zombies would eventually do like?
Yeah, no, that was I think that was just for the show. But yeah,
Still cool.
Practically not great. It reminded me of when I had to go to church and just sit in the congregation. We're all like repeating the same chants and kind of mindlessly.
Can I tell you a very quick church story?
I'd love that.
So I think it was like a Christmas it was Easter many, many years ago. I'm like 8 years old. I'll never forget this. We're sitting in church and they have like you're reading in like your church book or whatever. Like, here's what the priest is going to say. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the bulletin.
No, it's the hymnal,
Okay.
where it's like priest this, and then like the rest of the congregation says whatever.
Yeah.
And so the deal was like it's something this, and then the congregation is supposed to say crucify him because they're doing like a whole play of Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
And it's crucify him with an exclamation point. And 8-year-old Woody takes things pretty literally, and so everybody in church is like crucify him, but I'm in the back going crucify him. Everyone turns, and my mom like buries her like head in her hands, being like,
man.
we can never come back here.
They're like, Jew.
Yeah, I'm looking around being like, I took the lion note, guys. I don't know what you want from me here.
Oh, man. All right, so now we go to our next segment, which we haven't done in a second, called Dunked On.
Ooh, dunked on. Who's getting got? Who got posterized?
My Dunked On this week is Lydia dunking on Carol. Even though this also applies to the guy who got shot to the dome with a fire arrow and immediately lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be with Lydia when, Carol's kind of trying to make her peace with everyone before the night. She's very pessimistic about the outcome, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's talking to Daryl, Ezekiel, everyone. So she talks to Lydia because last time they left on a bad note. Lydia literally hit her across the face with her staff and then ran away. I was like, no one understands me.
That's how you end a conversation.
Yeah, and she's like, you used me, and Carol's like, shrug.
Yeah. Shrug emoji.
Shrug emoji. You don't have to say shrug emoji. Carol's kind of just sort of waxing poetic, and Lydia's like, I'm sorry your son's dead and you hate the world. And I was like, wow.
Yeah,
She
and I'm
got
like,
right to it. And Carol, who has taken up smoking again, is just like beside herself. She's like, these heart-to-hearts aren't going This isn't going as well as Ezekiel.
Also, I was waiting for her saying, like, sorry that your son died and you hate the world. And I was waiting for Carol to take a long drag and then go, which son?
Yeah, which son?
Like, oh, shit.
And we were saying it while we watched it. No offense to the actor, Matt Lintz, but Henry is not worth getting this sad over.
Lydia is in a corner, like, is sitting in, like, the shadow of a doorway, like, pining over, like, rubbing her hand on a, like, engraved heart thing.
She
with
sure
Henry
loves
and
to
Lydia.
carve.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. You know, her woodworking is really, really taken off.
Who's your dunked on?
My dunked on is a surprise, is Daryl.
Ooh.
Usually Daryl doesn't get dunked on, but this time he really set himself up because he and Ezekiel have a nice moment. And in every single scene where Ezekiel and Daryl have a conversation where there are emotional stakes, usually Zeke is the one who's getting dunked on. But this time Daryl asks, "You okay?" And Zeke replies, "No, I got cancer." Like, really shuts it down. And you can see Daryl have a moment of like, oh, God damn it.
He says, nah.
Oh, yeah, nah.
I got cancer. Which is so great because Ezekiel is so fed up. Like, he tries to be Daryl's friend so hard, but because Daryl is super protective of Ezekiel, and then, you know, sometimes there's just sort of like two alpha males in a room, and they'll just never see eye to eye. So Ezekiel, yeah, Daryl definitely got dunked on for a second there, but it was good that they ended that whole exchange by dapping each other up and being like, it's cool, man, it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're like, hey, if one of us goes, the other one's going to take care of the kids, right? And they're like, yeah. So they eventually matured enough to become adults.
Oh, absolutely. I think they've always been on the same level, or maybe Daryl's kind of thought himself a little bit above Ezekiel, but I think they come out of that being like, we're in this together. Everybody is really galvanized, which they're going to need because I think they've only got like a couple dozen people against the Horde plus the Whisperer army. So
right. And if they both survive, I hope that friendship continues because they should be more close. All right. And now on to our favorite segment, Shipwatch. Oh, okay. That was rude. You didn't have to catch.
I thought that was great comedic timing. I regret nothing.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Ezekiel and Carol coming back together.
Are they, though?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, it was a one-time thing. And Ezekiel calls it out, being like, hey, if we weren't all just about to die, like, would we still be doing this thing? And Carol just, like, says nothing. And then just, like, slowly puts her clothes on and just, like, moonwalks out the door.
Is there any shame in just, like, sort of, like, selfish, we're about to die, like, you know?
No,
romp?
not at all.
This actually reminds me, in season 7 or 8, there's a deleted scene that most people haven't seen between Eugene and Laura, R.I.P., where the sanctuary was getting overrun by walkers. It was all going to shit. And Eugene, who was working for Negan as a double agent at the time, gets visited by Laura. And she's like, yo, the walkers are here. We're about to die. Let's do this. And he's like, what? And she's like, let's go. And they have sex.
What?
Yes. And afterwards.
What?
I know. And afterwards, Lindsley Register, who played Laura, and did such a phenomenal job. We also found out this week that, yes, her character Laura did get completely yeeted by Beta.
Pour one out.
Yeah, pour one out. And this was actually, so when I get the episodes, I write my recaps off of what I have. And I guess this deleted scene obviously didn't make it in, but I put it into my recap. So, because I don't know until the show airs what they kept and what they didn't. So every time I post a recap on Sunday night, it's kind of a roll of the dice. And I didn't happen to watch that night, so fans were like, wait, when did Eugene and Laura, like, sleep together? And I was like, was that not in the episode? They're like, no. And I was like, oh, my God, and I take it out. So, but now that Lindsley is off the show, she's been talking about it on social media. So, release the Laura cut.
Oh, my God.
Is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Release it.
Yeah, that's what the people need. Hashtag release the Laura cut.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I think I know why it was deleted. They showed full penetration. And you just can't. I looked it up. You can't do that on AMC.
Well, I mean, it's cable, so I mean, there's certain things that you can and can't do. The thing that would that concerned me the most was, well, not concerned, but it was surprising. Eugene circumcised.
Yeah, that was surprising.
I thought he was going to be a full natural,
just like a sock.
Yeah,
like a skin sock,
like a rusty sock. Man, Eugene, the secret Lothario.
I know. So, all right.
Still waters run deep, baby.
Oh, and a belated dunked on.
Ooh, dunked on.
When Rosita was like, Eugene, you've survived this long and you still have no game. I was like, damn.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
Rosita is definitely playing up that popular girl who's secretly would never date Eugene, like the nerd, but is so mad that he's moved on. onto someone else that isn't you, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to dunk on him a little bit and be like, you got no game, blah, blah, blah. Here, you can kiss me now if you want, whatever. Like, Rosita, just tone it down.
Yeah, funny
You're being
little,
really fucking extra this episode.
yeah, funny little schoolyard games that that Rosita's playing with poor little Eugene, which is, you know what, I just love the idea, and I'm gonna now hold in my heart canon that the Laura Eugene tryst absolutely 100% happened, and that in the back of his head he's like, I don't have game. People definitely want to hit this when we're about to die. Okay?
Why don't you ask Laura's corpse?
Ooh.
All right, so my ship watch this week is, and I talked about it earlier, Eugene and Stephanie. I love them so much. And like I said, it's one of my favorite comic storylines, and Eugene is not getting catfish, and it's all going to lead to Commonwealth. But what I really loved about it is we mentioned them singing together. This takes me right back to Stranger Things Season 3 with Dustin and Susie doing Never Ending Story. It was so fucking adorable. It was so amazing. And just like them having to build like a giant tower. I think I must have mentioned this in a previous podcast episode way back when, in 2019, where where it was I was getting Dustin and Susie vibes, and now I'm really getting them. They're literally singing Iron Maiden to each other. So I'm just saying, Eugene and Stephanie are Dustin and Susie, which means the Demogorgon is about to come.
I consider Beta to be more of the Demogorgon, I guess, but I don't
Beta's
know.
the Demogorgon.
Beta, hard confirmed. Oh my gosh, the two of them together. And Johnny, we've had previous stories where you talk about your time on The Voice and putting stuff around.
We sure have.
Let me ask you this: you hear Eugene, and let's say you're a judge on The Voice,
Right?
You got your chair, and you hear Eugene.
No one's turning around.
So really?
Nah, I'm sorry.
I think country would do pretty well. I don't.
It's fine. Blake has heard as much as he can hear. I mean, you really got to bring it. I mean, Eugene's singing was fine, but it's because it was, layered over a montage of people preparing for battle and perhaps their final moments.
So let me get this straight. You're not going to try to fake out Blake. You're not going to hit the button and try and like goad Blake into doing it, knowing that Eugene would probably pick Blake because he has more country bona fides.
Probably, and he would say something like that. Well, you got all the bona fides, and I think that it'd do me a solid if you didn't, if you turned that chair around,
You just gave me the honor.
axis of the sun. And you just
Would you turn around for Stephanie?
Oh, I would 100. She gets a 4-chair turnaround. She was great, and great job to soon-to-be well-known Walking Dead actress Margot Bingham, who is playing Stephanie. She is awesome. She's
Showing off the chops.
She's been in Boardwalk Empire, The Family, New Amsterdam. All those shows. So, yeah.
Oddly enough, like this relationship, when when Eugene hears her singing back on the radio and they like have their whole like reunion, I was deeply emotional with having never met Stephanie or seen the two of them together. I love this relationship.
Yeah, and I know this podcast is sometimes like a parade of like, yay, Angela Kane, she's doing such a good job. But she's doing such a good job. Usually these sort of like one-on-one, like pre-battle conversations could get a little lengthy and tedious, right? And I didn't hate any of them. I was like, oh shit, Daryl and Ezekiel are talking. Oh, Daryl's talking to Judith and having like an adult-ass conversation where Judith was awesome. She was like, I'm not scared, but I'm scared for RJ. I'm scared for the other kids. And it's like, Judith is so far and above and beyond every other child here. She's just so, when she has a growth spurt, it's going to be something.
They do give Judith a few, adult qualities that like no other child in reality would have. Then again, like we're in the apocalypse where everybody has to grow up instantly or you're dead. But like Judith holding her own with all of these characters has been amazing.
Right.
And the whole like scene between her and Daryl, like there were great layers there of Daryl. Basically, like, Judith wants to put together the classic, like, a kid front of, like, I'm not scared of anything. I'm a big kid. I can fight. And Daryl very, like, I mean, what a journey of Daryl, like, being able to talk to Judith being like, well, I might be a little bit scared. And it's okay for you to be a little bit scared, basically. Like
that scene where he, like, really, like, talks to Judith and, like, tells her, like, seriously, like, you have to leave with Ezekiel if you can't find me. But just the way, like, Norman Reedus has really, like, propelled his game. Like, he's really killing it as Daryl these days and doing a much better job than he ever has done, in my opinion.
And they're giving him all like the Rick homages too. Like when he was pensive outside of the graves.
Oh yeah,
that's
classic Rick
from
move.
Rick, yeah.
All right, so now we are going to get on to our voicemails. This week we asked you guys, if Beta invaded your house, which Walking Dead character would you want by your side? And we got some great answers. So thank you guys for calling in. If you want to call in, all you have to do is call us after we give you a prompt on Twitter at 213-536-1275. Leave us a quick voicemail, and you might get on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Don't be scared.
Yeah, we don't bite, and we're gonna pick winners. And if you can make it concise and funny, we love that stuff. If you say nice things about us, we'll probably play that because we are slaves to praise. Okay, look, can we just jump into it?
Well,
I'm so excited.
I think we should. All right.
Hey there, regarding the beta in your room, and which character would you like to have? Michonne, without a doubt. She's a badass. She always seems angry, and she's always accurate. So I think that would work. Thanks. Bye.
So I'm gonna refute that one a little bit because I don't question Michonne's grit. I don't question her abilities. However, depending on the room or the house that you're in, Michonne's main weapon is a katana, and you need space to use that thing. You can only, if you're in a hallway or in like a room or something like that, your ability to swing, you can thrust, but that's really pretty much it. And I feel like Beta with his 2 giant knives would probably be able to counteract that in space.
And I think Ezekiel did enough thrusting this episode for everyone.
Hey!
All right, on to the next one.
Hi, the question of the week about if Beta shows up at my house, who would I want with me? I would want Daryl. He's tough. He is like the ever-ready bunny. He keeps going, and going. Plus, being nice-looking helps in a world with so much ugly in it. If not Daryl, I would want Michonne. She has it together, and she's tough. Thank you.
Wow, dunked on
What-
everyone else, I
What
guess.
a layered
except for Daryl.
voicemail that was. We
Yeah.
not only got a little bit of thirst for Daryl, we got a little bit of social commentary about where we are in the world in real life right now.
Lot of ugly. Lot of ugly.
And we got a couple good answers on folks. Would you take Daryl in the house?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, well, Daryl already fought Beta.
Yeah, in an enclosed space.
And he was able to, I mean, there aren't any elevators in that house as far as I know, but he was able to hold his own for the most part.
What is it with characters just assuming they've defeated Beta?
Yeah.
Like, he is, at this point, Beta is, like, he's Jason Voorhees. Like, he's the character who, like, the monster that you think you've killed, and then the moment that you walk away, he just, like, rises up
Right.
and then continues on in his, like, bloody way.
And Zombieland came out in 2009, which is a year before this universe's apocalypse, so they should have known how to double tap.
Oh, Daryl absolutely saw Zombieland.
100%.
Yeah.
He sees Woody Harrelson's like, that's my hero. Last one.
Hi. So, for your question of the week, I think I want Rick. He's a Walking Dead character, and at the moment, he's gone. I honestly want him just to pop out of my house, be like, yo, Beta, and then he should ask his 3 questions. How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? And why? And then just be like, bam, bam, and Beta's dead, All right. Have a nice day. Love y'all. Bye.
Mama Deadhead, is that you?
What an interesting idea that, like, Rick gets to ask the 3 questions before, like, Beta just, like, guts him like a pig. I also love the idea of Beta having to answer those questions, like, how many walkers have you killed? 1.
They're just getting confused and just like, what was the second question again?
Yeah. How many people have you killed?
Question.
There are no people.
What is going on?
Oh, I'll get your next time, catch it.
We've gone full Dr. Claw with Beta.
Woody, just curious, who would you want in the house with you? Which Walking Dead character would you want if Beta were to break in?
Ooh, Shane.
Ooh, yeah, Shane. Shane would really size them up. They would just size up each other. I want that fight. Can someone who does those, like, who does those YouTube mashups where it's like the Red Ranger
Death
versus
Battle.
like, oh, okay, yeah. But do that.
Yeah, let's put a collection together and let's all sponsor an episode of Rooster Teeth's Death Battle and do Beta versus Shane. But they would probably switch it around then, where like Beta then becomes Ope and Shane becomes the Punisher, and then that's not even a fucking fight.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. My Walking Dead character would be the Ghost of Lori, because I think it's very distracting if you're just bringing ghosts to a knife fight. So
I love it.
That's my answer.
Yeah, I feel like that might be the only thing that would actually intimidate Beta.
And that wraps up our voicemails this week. If you guys want to call in the future, I'm going to try this number for the first time without looking at it, and we'll check it later. Make sure to call us at 213-536-1275. That sounds right.
Oh, let's see.
Let's see.
How did we do? This is Johnny's first time. He actually did it from memory.
213-536-1275. That is correct.
Hey! Ba-ba-ba-da.
So look out for us on usually Mondays and Tuesdays. We will tweet out the question. So look out for that. Call us up, leave a voicemail, and you might make it in.
And then if you have reactions, if you are some of those lucky few who get to watch these episodes early, go ahead and leave us a little quick reaction that we put at the top of the show. Try to keep it to 5 and 10 seconds. Try to do it Friday night, because if we get it to Saturday mornings, we're very lazy. We try to have a weekend, and if those bits aren't gold, they don't get in.
Yeah.
So try real hard.
Real hard. All right. Now, on to our interview. I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this. This is Eleanor Matsuura. She has a great story. She plays Yumiko on The Walking Dead, and I'm really excited.
Going through some stuff in this season.
And she told me that during the interview, she was actually at her home in London in a garden shed with a bottle of wine with the baby asleep in the other room. I think that's great.
That's weird. That's exactly how we do our podcast.
It is weird. We always try to have to find a baby.
What happened to the last one? Never mind.
We gave it too much wine.
We gave it to Aaron. He has it at Kingtop.
Yeah.
And Alden won't let us see him.
Oh, fantastic. All right. On Eleanor.
Hit it, Pass Johnny.
Our next guest is a triple threat actor you know from her stage work, voiceover work, and of course, as Yumiko from The Walking Dead, Eleanor Matsuura. How's it going?
Hi.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing really, really well. I am. I'm doing very well. I was just saying to you before. Sorry, my voice is a little croaky because I'm getting over some sort of weird illness, which I truly believed was the coronavirus.
I was just gonna
for
say.
like 2 days, and
oh my God.
Yeah. But I think I'm clear. I don't think it's corona. I think it was just a virus. But that's why I kind of sound a little, a little like I've been out on a big night out on a bender. But I'm okay.
That's good.
And I am currently, thanks. But I'm in London, which is where I live.
Yep.
But I'm currently sat in the shed in my garden.
Wow.
Because my baby's sleeping inside and the walls are a little thin. I didn't want to wake her up in case I was loud.
It sounds lovely. It sounds like you're having a lovely day. I'm jealous. That's great. Let's dive a little bit into your background. You have a pretty unique background. You were born in Japan but grew up in England. What was that like?
Mm-hmm. Well, my dad is Japanese and my mother is English. So I was born in Tokyo, and we only stayed there till I was like 3 months old. And then because of my dad's work, we actually moved to LA till I was like 5 years old, I think, and then came back to England, where ultimately we stayed, and I did most of my growing up. So I really count England as my home. Feels very much like that's where I'm from.
Right.
But yeah, I have this also this sort of great attachment to LA, which I get to spend a bit more time in now with this job, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Japan. I haven't been back to Japan in a really long time, but I really want to go. And my Japanese heritage is such a huge, important part of my identity. I haven't been, I think, for over like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm really itching to get back. Yeah, it's just a long way away.
Yeah.
So I don't get the opportunity to get the time to just sort of pop over there, but I really want to, because I miss it, and I have family there that I'd like to see.
When did you first get into acting?
I first got into acting when maybe I was like, I went to drama school at 19.
Okay.
So I guess that's a very clear decision, like a step towards, this is what I want to do with my life. And in London, drama schools was a pretty standard kind of path that young actors take. You go and do drama school for like 3 years. You have to audition to get in, and we have some really great schools here. So I managed to get into one of those, and I studied for 3 years. And then I graduated in 2004 and had my agent and started going out and meeting people and auditioning and finding work and trying to do the thing that I wanted to do and loved to do. So I guess I always knew I wanted to do it, but actually the doing of it started at probably like 19. So I've been in it for quite a while.
We did research on you, obviously, but we found out before the interview that on IMDb it says you're a trained dancer, which it turns out, unfortunately, is not true. But if for those at home want to believe you are, that's great. It also said you worked on. Go ahead.
I'm just so sad that it's not true. I'm like,
now you have to live up to it.
I love that rumors out there.
Never too late.
I mean, I do. Maybe I should do one of those shows like Strictly Come Dancing, or you guys call it something else over there. Dancing with the Stars. I could dance with the stars and learn.
So
I'd love to be able to be a really good dancer. Like Angel. Angel's an amazing dancer.
Oh my God.
You know, oh, she's unreal.
Yeah.
Like, so she keeps saying that she's going to teach me. We keep meaning to do that. So maybe I will be able to live up to it eventually. But stick around long enough and hang around with Angel.
Hell yeah, that'd be fantastic. So now I don't trust anything that IMDb tells me, but it says that you've acted on stage at the Royal Court Theatre and the Old Vic Theatre. Is that true?
It is. That is true. That is.
So what's more challenging, working on stage or working on screen?
Well, I mean, they're so different. They're different disciplines in so many ways. I'd say, you know, they're two such different mediums. I think that they have their own unique challenges, and you know, doing theatre, it's live. So the thing I love about theatre is that you definitely have. It's such a team effort. You know, you really have to rely on your cast members. You really have to. You're all doing it. You're there for each other in the moment each night, and then it's unique in the sense that you get to sort of put that performance away at the end of the night and scratch it and then go in and do it all over again the next day. You get a redo. It's such a particular muscle, and there's so. I mean, I started in theatre, so it really is my first love and my passion. But then you know, filming is challenging too. Like shooting The Walking Dead is no joke. Like it's a serious business. Like the elements, the hours that we do, the nature of the shooting, like it's so physical. And you know, I come home each day like covered in dirt, bruised and battered, and heat exhaustion and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's a different kind of challenge. But I genuinely love that. Like I chat a lot with my fellow actors, particularly the actresses, I should say, the women, and there's something really refreshing about doing a show like The Walking Dead where, you know, there isn't a lot of primping and preening and makeup. Yeah. There's not hours of like getting your hair done and being in corsets and costumes. You know, we're just rough and ready, and there's something very liberating about that. So it's a very unique show. You know, usually I would say filming is easier, but not on The Walking Dead. It's a little more challenging.
I bet. I also saw that you have done some voiceover acting for video games like Mass Effect and Dreamfall chapters. How did you get involved in that?
Well, my husband does loads of voiceovers. My husband's Canadian, but we've lived in London for a really long time, so he really cleans up in the voice world here because he's always voicing American like games. And he was like, "You should do it. Like your accent's really great. Yeah, you should, you know, try voicing some video games." So he was the one who kind of got me into it, and then it really, people responded really well to it, and I do quite a lot of games and superheroes and all sorts. It's so funny to me though because I'm not a gamer and I never know what anything is. I know, so like some people are like, "Oh my god, you did that! You were like, you did the Star Wars game or whatever." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like oh." Did you play it? Like I could never get excited about something. I have so little connection with it. I'm terrible. Like it's ridiculous. Like I'm constantly surprised by The Walking Dead. Like Denise, who's a lovely producer on The Walking Dead, like said to me once, like, "Eleanor, you have to stop being so shocked at how big this show is and how like far-reaching it is." Because I think I said to you guys when we were like doing a podcast, I was like, "There's a podcast?" And everyone's like, Yeah, Eleanor, there's a podcast because the show is really loved and everyone wants to talk about it. Like, stop being surprised. I'm literally like every turn, I'm like, what? There's a thing called The Talking Dead and it's on after. What? This is amazing. It's I'm
Yeah.
It's I guess because I never watched the show before I was on the show. I'm learning as I go along, and it's the size of it and how far-reaching it is never fails to just blow me away.
So let's dive into The Walking Dead. How did you first book the role?
I made a tape. I made a tape, a pretty standard kind of audition tape that, you know, most actors do when they're going for a job. And I knew it was kind of unique because of the description of the character. I knew it was a half Japanese. I think at the time that I read it, I think it was half, Yumiko was written as half Japanese, half American. So that immediately kind of narrows the pool somewhat, because there's not a huge amount of, mixed race Japanese actresses out there. Or, well, I know most of them, put it that way. I can count them most on one hand. But so that was interesting to me. And it was a dummy scene, of course, because, no spoilers and they can't release the script. And I made a tape and we sent it off, and they called and sort of said, "Oh, we're really interested in you, and could you get on a video meeting with Angela Kang, who's going to be the new showrunner of season 9?" And I did. I was actually shooting a movie at the time, and so I had my hair in rollers, and I couldn't have looked less like Yumiko if I tried. I was like, I'd come off from shooting this other scene. I'd had rollers in my hair and makeup on, and I think I was in like a sort of silky blouse or something. And I had this Skype chat with Angela, and to be honest, like, she just blew me away. Like, she was so passionate and articulate about the show, which I told her a lie, obviously, because I wanted to get the job. I was like, I love The Walking Dead. I've watched so many episodes, and I hadn't actually watched a single episode at that point. But I faked it. And we just had a chat about it, and she was just talking about the show, about the story, the arc, like what she had in mind for the characters. And by the time I got off the call, I was just like, this is, I've never had that experience with a showrunner before. I really want to be part of this. Like, I really want to be part of her vision of whatever this is. So when they offered me the part, I was over the moon. And then I went away and started literally from the pilot episode. I was like, right, I've got my homework cut out for me. I'm just going to go and watch it. But it was the easiest homework ever, because it's such a pleasure to watch, because it's such a fucking great show. It's like, it's so binge worthy. I just, it was great. It was that's like a month later, not even, maybe like 3 weeks later, I was in Georgia shooting. So
came in at a really interesting time,
very
because
fast.
Not only did we have a new showrunner, but Rick was leaving, and we just decided to skip ahead 6 years, and now Judith can talk, and Michonne has like a side dread thing, and everything seems to be different, and you came in with this whole cast of characters, so that must have been kind of crazy, but like, because it was kind of like Walking Dead Next Generation or something like that. But I'm like, I loved it, and you must have gotten good responses from the fans as well.
Oh my God, it was such an exciting time to join the show. I mean, there was huge risk involved, of course. The stakes were so high because, Rick's such a beloved character. Him exiting the show was obviously going to be a massive moment for the show. And so us arriving in the middle of that the stakes were high, there's a lot of pressure, but it also made it more exciting. And I think we embraced it because they allowed us to embrace it. They really welcomed us in with open arms. It was pretty mad. I mean, what's crazy to me is that, like, our characters, we never met Rick. We never knew him. Like we exist completely separately to his, well, not to his story, because he's left such a legacy, of course, that we are now stepping into. But there's such a clear line between what was before and what is now after. So it's so funny to me. I keep sort of, there's a part of me that keeps saying to the writers, I'm like, you should write in a line like where one of us is like, who is Rick? Who's this guy you keep talking about? Like, who? You know, it's just, none of us would know who they're talking about. But of course, you know,
right,
offset, like Angie Lincoln is such a huge part of the show. Like he you know, his name is mentioned every day on set. Like he's there still, even though he's not there. Do you know what I mean? He's like, he permeates the set.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In such a real way that like his legacy lives on, and yeah, we just had to sort of step in and do our best to kind of carry that energy forward, with the utmost respect to what he's left for us, and also with respect to doing something different and new, and taking it in a new direction.
Right.
I remember shooting that scene with Judith, which was I think still to this day, after having the second season under my belt, it's probably the hardest day shooting, that first day, because we weren't used to it, and it was like tropical heat. It was a really, really long day. We've been shooting for hours and hours and hours. We were all so exhausted. And then at the end, we shot the scene, like the end of the day, we shot the scene with Kaylee, you know, where she puts the gun down and asks us our names and then puts the hat on, like this iconic moment. And I remember the first, isn't it amazing? Yeah. Like it still gives me chills now just thinking about it. And as we were standing there shooting it, and she put the hat on and she looks up and she's like, I'm Judith Grimes. And Dan Fogler turns to me and he's like, and the Golden Globe goes to. He was like, this is such an amazing moment. Like she just nailed it. And I mean, I knew we were part of something special, but I just felt in that moment, I was like, oh, this is something else. This feels iconic in some way. Like it's comic book meets pleasing the fans, meets the show, jumping forward 6 years. Like it's all kind of mashed up together in this beautiful moment that Kaylee just embodied brilliantly.
And I don't know if you're aware of this. It's okay if you're not. Every week or for every episode, we compile, because, you know, people record themselves watching the show and they put it on YouTube.
Oh, I've seen that, right.
Compile, yeah. So we compile them all together. And the one for that episode it was probably one of my favorites, just because it's like, it's all Rick and he's like dying the whole episode. And then people think he exploded, and then he comes back, and then he gets taken away in a helicopter. Then we zoom down, and it's gone ahead 6 years, and Judith's there, and you guys are there, and like fans were literally falling out of their seats. Like it was such a shocking, like you said, iconic moment, and it's pretty cool that you were there for that. Like,
I know. I mean, honestly, I have to say this, and you just have to trust me that this is true. But like, can you imagine? It's hard to say this to fans because obviously fans have probably watched from the very beginning. But because I came onto this show having not watched an episode, I had a completely sort of pure experience where I read the script for 10-5, where Andy exits and we enter, and I didn't even know the context. Like I didn't even know the history between the characters and the relationships, and I still read it. And at the end, I was like teary. I was like so moved. I just thought it was such an excellent episode, and I just thought I have to be a part of this. Like it was so beautifully written. I was like, yeah, give me some of that. I can't wait to be a part of this amazing show.
So another part of Yumiko's character, and I actually really love what Angela's doing and the writers are doing with your kind of group. In the comics, Magna and Yumiko are kind of like the main characters, but Luke like gets killed off pretty early. Connie's and Kelly are a non-factor. Kelly's it looks like Terry Crews in the comics. It's a guy.
It's a different look.
And now like Yumiko's kind of running Hilltop. By the way, who's actually running Hilltop? Is it just like a community effort?
Yeah, this is an excellent
like
question.
Your character is kind of
like,
I mean, last we saw Hilltop was on fire, but before that, we call it Kingtop because it's like half kingdom, half Hilltop.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is, right? And I think it's funny because,
Yeah.
I've got a lot of people that are saying to me like, oh, so, Yumiko's kind of running Hilltop now. And I'm like, whoa. Hang on a second. This was in no way, like, let me put it like this. If I was like definitively running Hilltop, I'd be doing a bigger job, I think. I think I'd be stepping up in a much bigger way. I think what sort of happened with the communities being how they are and everything kind of being messed up and broken and infiltrated by the Whisperers, like everyone's kind of just doing their best. They're scrambling around trying to step up into positions of responsibility where it's needed. And Yumiko is so resourceful and so responsible. It's not a difficult role for her to fulfill. I think she naturally is a leader and has shown herself to be a good one. But there's been no sort of like, and now you're the leader of Hilltop. It's like, no, I think she's just sort of found herself feeling responsible for a community that she loves so much and has welcomed her in. And she's doing her best to try and get everybody to keep their shit together. She's just like, guys, we've got to keep our shit together. Everyone's got to stop like running off, stealing stuff. Like, come on, we're a group. We've got like, this is the way to fix it. So I think that's certainly the way I've always tried to play it anyway, is just that she's confident with her ability to lead, but is in no way kind of saying, hey guys, listen to me, follow me, I have all the answers. She's super capable. So yeah, but it doesn't take away from the fact that, like what you said, like, it's like everything's kind of a mess, and it's sort of Hilltop needs a leader right now. And like, who else is around? Like, Maggie's not there. The King's going through his own stuff. Like, it's tricky.
And as of this episode, we don't know the fates of Connie or Magna. So do you think Yumiko's like holding out hope for that, or is she just focused on Alpha and the Whisperers?
Oh, no, of course. Like, she's, Magna and her have had a relationship for a really long time. They've been entwined in each other's lives for, pre-apocalypse days. Like, they are or they were in love. And I don't think that love just goes because they're hitting rocky patches, or even if they're not together, I think there's still so much love and respect between the two of them. Certainly Nadia and I have always tried to hold on to that, to play that as sort of real as we can. So any news of her being missing, of her being dead, any potential threat to her existence is like crushing to me. And as it is for Connie too, like we came in as such a tight group. Ride or die is totally our motto. Like, this is a devastating discovery to find out that two of my girls, one very beloved to me, obviously, is like trapped in a cave. Like, that's just like, who knows? I think it's really interesting. It's interesting what the writers gave us, because obviously it's not as straightforward. Me and Magna have been having some problems, guys. It's not all rosy in paradise. So, but that doesn't mean I'm like not upset. Like, my God, she was my girlfriend for a long, long time.
Yeah, and speaking of, how did you come at the role, like knowing that you'd be playing like a gay character?
I mean, first of all,
because you want to do it justice.
Absolutely,
like,
that's the key. It's like doing it justice.
By the way, I think you're killing it.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's a nice thing to say. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think it's first and foremost, it's an incredible honor, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I think any kind of representation that we still need on TV, on our mainstream TV, is so important, and I am honored to be playing a gay character on screen. I just am, because we need to see more visible characters like that. We need people to watch and be like, yes, great, I'm seeing myself represented on screen. And for all the reasons that we know as why representation and diversity is phenomenally important on our TV screens and in our homes. I sort of think that I'm very aware that there's a responsibility that I have to represent well. I don't ever want to I don't ever want it to be something that's token, that this character's gay. I want to make sure that I'm all constantly doing her justice and doing their relationship justice. Anytime Nadia and I have had intimate scenes, we've tried to make sure that we have a discussion about the fact that we're doing it for women, and for the love of women and not for men, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I also think is really cool. I hope this kind of makes sense, but even though there's lots of people that have fans that have been lovely to me who really are invested in Magna and Yumiko's relationship, I think what's kind of freeing for Yumiko as a character is watching her go through this rocky relationship with Magna and then kind of breaking up, because actually playing a gay character isn't a personality trait, just being gay isn't who is this character? Oh, they're gay. Oh, that's it. There's so many more characteristics and personality traits to a character, to a person, than just their sexuality. And I think it's always been really important to me to show that, to try and explore Yumiko as a person, not just as the gay character, because that feels token. That doesn't feel respectful to the character. So in a way, by kind of freeing her up from Magna, and Magna being freed from Yumiko too, they're allowed to kind of go off and explore themselves and explore different avenues. And we're going to get, I hope, to see, from me anyway, more of Yumiko, who she is, where she's from, what she aspires to be, who she is with other characters. She doesn't just exist as another half to a relationship, and that's been quite a gift from the writers in that sense.
Well, that wraps it up for me. I hope that Yumiko gets to get reunited with Magna at some point. That would be phenomenal. But if not, still excited to see Yumiko's journey through it. In the comics, she survives all the way to the end. So knock on wood. Hopefully that happens for you.
Fingers
that would be
crossed.
Great. Fingers
you
crossed.
You never know.
Oh, now I'm worried.
I mean, yeah. It's well, you never know. It's The Walking Dead. Anything can happen. I mean, I'm constantly... here's the weird thing. Obviously, I know what happens in this season. I know who's dead and who's alive. Constantly terrified that I'm going to put my foot in it and say the wrong thing. But so I'll just stop there. Maybe I'll see, maybe I won't. Who knows?
All right, Eleanor, thank you so much for talking with us. Loved hearing about your story and, excited to see what's next for Yumiko.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me too. I've had such a brilliant time.
All right, and that was my interview with Eleanor Matsuura.
Yeah, let that be a lesson to you. Don't believe everything you read on IMDb.
Yeah, it's basically Wikipedia for actors. I think people can edit it.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen the stuff that I put on your IMDb page, but you'll see it.
Oh my God, I have an IMDb page?
You do now.
That wraps up this week's episode of Talk Dead to Me, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the interview and all our segments. We will be back next week, same time, same place. Sorry last week's was a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties when we had to kind of edit on the fly. So should be all good to go this week.
Oh my God, next week. It's so you told me that recently we had the news that they flipped the episode order around. So next week was supposed to be a Michonne episode, but instead they're like, no, we can't show you Hilltop burning and not show you the second half of that fight.
Exactly. 10-12 was supposed to be all Michonne. Can you imagine getting to that point where they are burning down Hilltop and then they just cut to a Michonne episode?
Meanwhile, on the boat.
That Michonne episode is phenomenal, but I think it makes more sense to put these both together. So anyway, until next week, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Can you imagine, you get to, oh my God, everything is on fire, and then it's a very nice,
That's how it was when I was watching these episodes. I was like, this won't go over well. Hope they switch it, and they did.
Smart moves on their part.
Now they claim, that was the plan all along. It's all the Michonne stuff was labeled 10-12, so obviously it was not.
Oh, God, I'm so worried about Sweet Cherry.